We're delighted to have as our commencement speaker today the Honorable William J. Hughes, former Ambassador to the Republic of Panama and member of the U.S. House of Representatives from 1975 to 1995. Ambassador Hughes also has served as visiting Distinguished Scholar of Public Policy at the Richard Stockton College of New Jersey since 1999. He is a member emeritus of the Stockton College Foundation Board and is advisor of counsel to the law firm of Riker, Danzig, Scher, Highland, and Peretti. He also has served on the U.S. Judiciary Committee as chairman of the Subcommittee on Crime and chairman of the Subcommittee on Intellectual Property and Judicial Administration. He is a member of the Committee on Merchant Marine and Fisheries, on the Select Committee on Aging, which he chaired in 1993, and on the Select Committee on Narcotics Abuse and Control. Ambassador Hughes has practiced law in the Federal District Court of New Jersey, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, as well as the Supreme Court of the United States. Ambassador Hughes serves on numerous boards and is a recipient of several honorary doctorates and other awards. We live in an age in which distinguished public service is greatly prized and greatly needed, and it is my pleasure to present to you the model of distinguished public service, the Honorable William J. Hughes.
Well, thank you, Herman, for that very kind and very generous introduction. What he was saying is, I can't hold a job for very long, in essence. Dr. Sudkamp and members of the faculty, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the administration, other members of the administration, ladies and gentlemen, and particularly graduates of the class of 2004, good morning. It is great to be here. What a wonderful day. It is indeed a high honor for me to address the graduating class of 2004 at Richard Stockton College. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this milestone in your lives. Like many, I marvel at the tremendous success of the college in the some 3.5 decades since it was founded. Stockton's rating as one of the top small public liberal arts colleges in the nation just didn't happen. It's a great tribute to you, the students of Stockton, the Board of Trustees, the faculty, and the administration, and the result of the warm and generous support of the community at large. While preparing my remarks for today, my wife Nancy said, keep it brief. That reminded me of something that one of our great United States senators, the late Hubert Humphrey, would say at the outset of many of his speeches. He would say, I do not believe a speech has to be eternal to be immortal. Of course, he never followed his own advice, and I've often thought that a more appropriate refrain might have been, when in doubt, wear 'em out. Your graduation comes at one of the most exciting and promising times in the history of the world. To be sure, it's not a time without its troubles, for you face many difficult choices of how to live your lives in an era of rapidly changing values and social mores, not to mention the turmoil and dangers at home and around the world today. It's a time, nevertheless, that holds enormous opportunity for building a better life for yourselves as well as those around you as we climb to new heights, particularly in the fields of science and technology. Never in the course of human events has change taken place at such an enormous pace, socially, scientifically, politically, and in most every other facet of human endeavor. The rapidity and intensity of change has been unprecedented. Not that long ago, children grew up with little expectation of doing anything different than their parents and grandparents. Many lived their lives in the community in which they were born, doing the same thing that those parents and grandparents had done before them. The narrow perspective and mindset which that engendered reminds me of my own situation the year I graduated from high school. I worked that summer as a short-order cook on the Wildwood Boardwalk. I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do with my life, although I had this recurring notion that I wanted to be a lawyer. Unfortunately, I had taken all the easier courses in high school. On one of my days off that summer, I traveled to my hometown to talk to the high school principal about my future. We didn't have a guidance office at that time. He listened to my sad tale and was quite blunt. Forget it. If you want more training, go to business school. You see, my family had a fish market, and that was the principal's apparent frame of reference for me. Speaking of the fish market, have you ever tried to get a date to go to the prom with you in a fish truck? Isn't easy, but it does keep you humble. Just to close the circle of this story, the principal's comments made me more determined than ever to become a lawyer. After 2 years of night school, where I made up the necessary courses for college, I went on to receive my undergraduate and law degrees and became a lawyer shortly thereafter. For the most part, that small town mindset and mentality and stereotyping is gone. We also have guidance departments to advise and assist students with their career decisions, as you know. My story, though, is a reminder that drive and determination really does count, and that you can be anything you want to be as long as you're prepared to work hard for that and sacrifice along the way. Life in our towns and cities have changed in a number of other ways. When I grew up, small, tight-knit communities exerted a great deal more influence over the lives and behavior of its citizens than is the case today. Science and technology also progressed at a lazy pace. I can recall, and maybe you can, when the memory typewriter was considered revolutionary, as it replaced the manual typewriter and carbon paper. That was just 35 years ago. Today, the computer is king, and memory typewriters are not even in our vocabulary today. But it took over 400 years from the time that movable type was invented in 1450 and someone else invented the printing press in 1846. 400 years. How strange those days seem compared to the times we live in, where hardly a year or even a month goes by without some dramatic scientific or technological innovation. Just think, there are millions of Americans alive today who in the span of just one lifetime have seen the flight of the Wright brothers' first airplane give way to the exploration of the planets. It has been a massive transformation of the whole range of human experience, knowledge, and values, and a culling out of the old to make way for the new, and it continues unabated. Without question, these advances have ushered in an era of unprecedented progress as we test the frontiers of human knowledge and experience. At the same time, it's placed some serious strains on some of our most basic institutions. In short, for all of our progress and overall greatness as a country, our civil society has lagged behind in many respects. It's clear, though, that despite all the changes that have occurred, our basic institutions and values remain central to the quality of life in our communities. In the years ahead, we need your help in restoring that sense of individual identity, that feeling of being a part of something bigger than yourselves, that feeling of pride in your labors, and that commitment to better your community, which played such an important, no, essential role in the building of our nation. With all the dramatic change taking place, it really is easy to be misled into thinking that the individual is less important than ever before, when it's just the opposite that's true. Shaping the direction of our community starts with each of us. In the final analysis, our community's increase in its social, political, and economic net worth can be measured by the value of the contributions that each of us make to better it. That brings me to your graduation and your course for the future. Whether you seek a more formal education, enter a career in business or a profession, become a homemaker, or possibly all the above, it's important you remain engaged to make a total commitment to whatever you undertake, as Eric suggested previously. Above all, strive to be the best that you can be, and lead your lives in a way that sets a positive example. If you set your sights on mediocrity, that's all you'll ever hope to achieve. Moreover, to be successful in today's marketplace, it's more important than ever that you continue to set new goals for yourself as you go along. Raising that bar to take on new challenges will ensure your continued growth in knowledge, wisdom, and experience, for self-improvement is an ongoing, lifetime process. To be fully engaged, you also have to be fully informed. I'm talking about reading for information and knowledge as well as pleasure. While the sports page, comics, and style sections are important and fun, reading the news and op-ed pieces and editorials in the print media will broaden your perspective and equip you to be a better citizen. More and more Americans receive their news from TV. While this media is easy, convenient, entertaining, and certainly important, 30-second sound bites just don't cut it. Unfortunately, the programming often provides a simplistic and too often incomplete view of the facts. The same thing holds for today's campaign ads, but what can I tell you about that? I consider them disinformation, not information, too often. Get involved in the life of your community. Just complaining about your leaders, the direction of your country, or local policies won't change a thing. It also means getting involved in the political process, not necessarily as candidates for public office, although that's important, but as concerned and engaged citizens. It's appalling that less than 50% of our citizens in many elections don't even vote, and most don't have a clue about who is running 2 weeks before the election. Politics should not be viewed as a dirty business that is to be avoided, but as an essential part of citizenship. When we start spending as much time understanding the issues and selecting our leaders as we do picking out our cars, we'll have a more responsive government. Finally, we need your help in putting civility, tolerance, and a respect for other points of view back into the life of our community. The mean-spirited, confrontational, and in-your-face tone which permeates the airways and the life of our communities is dangerous and damaging to our democracy. That unfortunate tone has become a part of the stock and trade of too many of our opinion makers today. I'm personally saddened by the state of discourse and debate in the United States Congress today, where I was privileged to serve for some 2 decades, as the President indicated. Reconciling the hopes and aspirations of our very diverse body politic is difficult enough when legislators are respectful and tolerant of the vastly different points of view and interests that must be served. It's virtually impossible for the process to work when unnecessary partisanship and incivility permeates our system. We can and must change that. Speak out against this phenomena, vocally and at the ballot box. And whether it's in your interaction with your neighbors or in your dealings at the grocery store, you can make a difference in improving the tone of public discourse. I'm talking about basic respect, common courtesies, and old-fashioned good manners. That's the challenge you face today, to become engaged in the life of your communities, to continue to learn and grow in your chosen fields, to look beyond what may be in your immediate self-interest, to become more involved in the political process, and to live your life in a way that sets an example of decency, tolerance, and good manners for your children and those around you. It's a roadmap for a full and satisfying life. It's also a way to make our country stronger and our communities a much better place to live. Congratulations on your great success, and the very best of everything to you and your families in the years ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador Hughes, for those wonderful remarks.